If frogs have one fly, flies are rare, flies are valuable. But if frogs catch more flies, flies become common. Flies are not as valuable. This is basic supply and demand, Frog Economics 101. But wait, there's more. Demand pool inflation. If frogs demand more flies, but the fly population stays the same, fly price goes up, because flies are rarer. All frogs want flies, but there are not enough flies to go around, so flies become expensive. Frogs have to give more lily pads for one fly. Frogs are sad, but flies are happy. Well, not really, because flies get eaten, but you know what I mean. Cost push inflation. If fly demand is the same, but flies become harder to catch, maybe weather is bad, maybe pesticides kill some flies, maybe flies learn to fly faster and hide better, then frog farmers have to work harder to catch flies. Frog farmers spend more energy, more time, and more lily pads to get the same amount of flies. So frog farmers raise the price of flies to cover the extra costs. Production cost inflation. Frogs buy flies. Frogs eat flies. Life is good. Frogs tell their frog friends about the fly store. All frogs hop to fly store. Frogs buy all the flies. Fly farmers realize they need to catch more flies, but fly nets become more expensive. Fly traps cost more lily pads. Bug spray to attract flies costs more. So fly farmers raise the price of flies to cover higher cost of fly catching equipment. Monetary inflation. If fly demand is the same and fly supply is the same, but frogs have more lily pads than usual to buy flies, fly price goes up, because now lily pads are not worth as much as before. Too many lily pads are chasing the same amount of flies, so each lily pad is worth less. So frogs need more lily pads to buy one fly. Hyperinflation. This gets crazy. Price of flies goes up. So the frog government decides to print more lily pads so frogs can afford flies. The government thinks this is a good idea. Government very smart, government knows economics. Not! Frogs buy more flies with the new lily pads. But the fly price goes up even more to keep up with fly demand. Because more lily pads in the pond mean each lily pad is worth less. So the frog government prints more lily pads, but the fly price goes up even higher. So the frog government prints even more lily pads, but the fly price keeps going up. This is getting ridiculous! The frog government keeps printing lily pads and the fly price keeps going up. Frogs are getting angry, frogs hopping mad. Literally, frogs are protesting in the pond, frogs holding signs saying down with fly prices. Eventually, the frog government realizes they messed up big time. The government burns all lily pads and starts making pondweeds the new currency. But frogs don't trust pondweeds either, so frogs start bartering directly. Fly for services. Very inefficient. Deflation, the opposite problem. Sometimes the opposite happens. Fly prices go down. This happens when there are too many flies, but not enough frog demand. Maybe frogs go on a diet. Maybe frogs discover new food, like worms. Suddenly, frogs don't want flies as much. Fly prices crash. Fly farmers lose money. Some frogs think deflation is good because flies are cheaper. But deflation is actually bad because it means the frog economy is shrinking. Frogs are losing jobs. Stagflation. Really bad situation. This is a really bad situation when fly prices are going up, but the frog economy is not growing. Frogs are losing jobs, but flies are still expensive. Frogs can't afford flies, but flies are not getting cheaper either. This happens when fly supply problems meet frog economic problems. Very bad for the pond economy, very hard to fix. Central banking, balancing act. The frog central bank tries to control inflation by changing lily pad interest rates. If inflation is too high, the frog central bank raises interest rates, making borrowing lily pads more expensive. Frogs borrow fewer lily pads, spend less on flies, fly demand decreases, fly prices stabilize. But if the central bank raises rates too much, frog economy slows down too much, frogs lose jobs and a recession happens. Central banking is a very tricky balancing act, like a frog trying to catch a fly while hopping on one leg.
Supply chain disruption. What if flies come from different ponds and the supply chain gets disrupted? Maybe bridge between ponds breaks. Maybe transport frogs go on strike. Suddenly flies can't get to frog pond. A fly shortage happens. Fly prices skyrocket even though frog demand is the same and lily pad supply is the same. This supply shock inflation is very sudden, very painful for frogs. Psychology and expectations. If frogs expect fly prices to go up, frogs might buy flies now before prices increase. This increases current fly demand, which actually makes fly prices go up right now. A self-fulfilling prophecy. Frogs create inflation they were trying to avoid. Psychology is very important in economics. If frogs are confident about the pond economy, frogs spend more. If frogs are worried, frogs save more. Wealth inequality. Inflation affects different frogs differently. Rich frogs who own fly farms and lily pad assets might benefit from inflation because their assets are worth more lily pads. But poor frogs who only have a fixed lily pad income suffer because their lily pads buy fewer flies. Inflation acts like a tax on poor frogs and a gift to rich frogs. This makes inequality worse. Economic bubbles. Sometimes frogs get too excited about a particular investment. Maybe a new type of fly becomes popular. All frogs want to invest in this fly. Frog investors bid up the price of this fly to crazy levels, far above what the fly is actually worth. Eventually, bubble bursts. Fly prices crash, frogs lose lots of lily pads. Bubbles happen because of frog greed and fear of missing out.
Recession. When frog economy shrinks, frogs lose jobs, frog businesses close, fly demand decreases. Fly prices might fall, but frogs are still struggling because they have no lily pad income. A recession can be caused by many things. Inflation getting too high, central bank raising rates too much, supply shocks, financial crises, and a loss of frog confidence. International trade. What if frogs trade with toads from another pond? The toad pond uses a different currency, maybe mushrooms. If lily pads are strong compared to mushrooms, then frog flies are cheaper for toads. Toads buy lots of frog flies. This increases demand for frog flies, driving up fly prices in the frog pond. But if lily pads are weak, then frog flies are expensive for toads. Exchange rates are very important for the pond economy. Cryptocurrency. Some frogs don't trust government lily pads anymore. Frogs create digital currency like frog coin or lilybit. These digital currencies not controlled by government. Some frogs think this better because government can't print more and cause inflation. But digital currencies very volatile, price swing wildly up and down, not good for stable economy yet. Automation. What if robot frogs invented that catch flies better than real frogs? Robot frogs don't need lily pad wages. Robot frogs work 24/7. Robot frogs catch more flies. Robot frogs make flies cheaper, but real frogs lose jobs. Technological unemployment happen. Frogs need retrain for new jobs. Economic disruption.
The big picture, this just beginning of frog economics, there's much more to learn. Supply and demand everywhere, price signals everywhere, incentives everywhere. Understanding economics help frogs make better decisions and build better pond society for all frogs. But remember, economics not exact science. Frogs not perfectly rational, markets not perfectly efficient, predictions often wrong, unexpected things happen. Economic models help us understand general patterns, but reality always more complex. Also remember that behind all economic statistics are real frogs with real lives. Inflation not just number, it affects whether frog can afford medicine for sick tadpole. Unemployment not just statistic, it means frog can't pay for lily pad rent. Economic policy should serve frog welfare, not just make numbers look good. Economics is ultimately about improving frog quality of life and creating opportunities for all frogs to thrive in pond society. Please subscribe to Frog Economics channel for more amphibian financial wisdom.